So I don't actually remember, probably 4 or 5 months of this year. So when I realized that and tried to plan a review of the year video, I knew it wouldn't be like a normal year in review video. I could see it as a complete failure of a year. I'm choosing to not do that and rather see it as information about what this year was really asking of me and where we have actually ended up. So this is going to be a reflection on what it looks like to keep going when you kind of don't know what's happening, and also recognizing and remembering that everything is not possible all of the time. 2025 definitely did not go as I thought it would, and I had some plans that did not work out, but that's okay. And this is why we need to set quests rather than goals. So let's just get straight into my honest 2025 quest review. I feel like I was slightly deranged when I said this. I don't feel like I was being completely unrealistic, just wildly unstructured. There was literally like zero plan, no roadmap, no real milestones, no spreadsheets. Okay, I generally don't have spreadsheets, let's be serious. It's important to keep in mind when we do this review that I wasn't even sure why I wanted to go on these quests and why I wrote them down. It was just kind of a feeling that these were in the direction of what I wanted and what I wanted to move to. So, remembering that and also holding space for depression episodes, here are the quests that I set for 2025. Quick disclaimer before we get deep into these things: we are being compassionate here, we're being chilled, we're remembering that progress counts even if it's baby steps. So I had 9 quests that I set. I think that they were still more like goals at this point, but things grow and develop in the way that they need to. So, okay, let's start with the first 2. These are kind of like personal developing ones. First was read 20 books. So we're at 14 books read right now, which is closer to a reading goal than I have ever been before in previous years. So we're just gonna take that as a win and move on. Secondly was finishing the Spanish course on Duolingo. Okay, a little bit of backstory here. I committed to learning Spanish at a conference in Costa Rica in 2014. So since then, I have been in some situations where knowing more of that language would have been pretty helpful, like being stuck in the underground train station in Barcelona for like 3 hours. I can share that story if you want. Let me know in the comments. But that would have been helpful. I do know more Spanish now. But finishing the whole course on Duolingo, this is nowhere near done. Duolingo takes forever. I didn't even realize how many units there are. So it's so long. It's so much. So I'm changing how I judge progress on this one, because that guy's a monster to get done. Moving forward though. Then we have some more like businessy and work ones. So I wanted to publish my book, Tuko, Pamoja, We Are Together. This did happen. It did happen. Tuko, Pamoja, We Are Together is my new book all about my journey of becoming the first female quadriplegic to summit Mount Kilimanjaro. I still can't fully believe that that's part of my life story, but here we are, and that's awesome, and I'm excited that it is. My original plan was to publish the book in January of 2025. That didn't happen, but we got over the finish line and we actually published it in July. So in hindsight, this actually worked out better because it was closer to the 10-year anniversary of our climb. So that was nice. That worked out well. I guess we learned that sometimes things need time to breathe and become what they need to be rather than like pursuing them for some obscure self-set time frame. So that's awesome. I'm stoked about that. If you haven't read the book yet, if you don't have the book yet, and it feels like it might be a good read for you, I'm going to leave the links down below in the description so you can get your own copy and let me know what you think about it. A big part of why this year feels kind of fuzzy to me is that I was dealing with depression and kind of in depression episodes, not really knowing and recognizing that. So depression took up a lot of space this year, which means that for a good few months, just showing up counted as progress. In July, August, like maybe September, I started to feel a bit more grounded, and that's when a lot of the things shifted. I rediscovered a lot of my motivation, but in little bursts, and so I had more energy to do things. I'm really grateful to have access to things like therapy. It's really been a lifeline to me, and my therapist actually has really changed my life, and I'm doing much better now. But I did want to just kind of call out what's shaped the year in a big way, and mental health is hard, and it's okay to say out loud that it's hard. So with that context, here's the next quest, guys. I wanted to send out 30 proposals in my work, and I don't think that this is a good metric for my job, because the work that I do is more nuanced than that. I don't just write proposals and send them. I build relationships and work on collaboration and fundraising missions and growth strategies for sustainability. So judging that kind of work purely by numbers doesn't actually reflect what happened this year, or like how we've moved forward and made an impact as an organization. So while I can't like neatly tick that one off, I also don't think that means that the work didn't happen. Another quest that I set was to build a profitable, impactful business. This sounds really impressive, but it's actually really unclear. I have my own business, and this year I realized that impactful can mean very different things in that space. So the quest kind of just quietly shifted. So instead of trying to build something new, I think the real work became figuring out what impact in my business actually means for me. and in my life. So that redefining stuff was the work for that quest. And I feel like I'm in a good place with that now. Like understanding what I want my business to be and what I want it to represent. So that's a win. There were also some financial quests this year, and I'm grouping them together. But I think this was part of my challenge emotionally and mentally, was that I felt out of control in a lot of ways, and I needed to find some stability in this area of my life so that I could transfer that feeling of stability into other aspects of my life. I had 3 financial quests this year. Here they are: getting my debt under control, saving for a deposit for my flat, and then starting investing. I've made progress across all of these quests, not in like a dramatic overnight way, because when does that actually happen with money and finances, but in a steady, meaningful way that like makes me feel good about where I'm sitting right now. I think a big part of that came from finding women who talk about money in a way that actually makes sense to me. People like Tori Dunlap and Rose Hahn, they wrote books that are incredible books. Financial Feminist and Add a Zero. Go read those books. Phenomenal. I feel like learning from other women who are building businesses and talking openly about money and how they feel about it has completely shifted my mindset around money. I feel more confident and more informed and much less avoidant about money than I did a year ago. And I think that's a really good place to find myself, and it feeds into other things in my life. So that feels good. The last quest I set was to go on an international trip just for fun. This feels a little wild to me, given the context of this year, because there was a point where I literally didn't even want to leave the house, like, ever again. So, that's craziness. So granted, that quest did not happen this year. But, on the brighter side, the wanting to leave the house and the wanting to travel did come back. And that counts. So that quest is staying open and untaked, but in a positive way. It's unfolding. So that feels like a good place to end with the quest reviews. And looking back at this year, I don't think it makes sense to measure it by what I completed, or like what I ticked off of my quest to-do list. I think 2025 was a year shaped by fog and recovery and redefining things, having persistence over consistency, and learning how to be a little gentler with myself and expectations. Some quests we finished, some we reshaped, and some are still unfolding, and all of that counts. Okay, yeah, if you haven't watched my quests not goals video yet, that's a really cool place to start. It explains why I plan my years this way and like how we got here. Then in the next video, I'm gonna share what this year actually taught me, the lessons and the pivots and how I'm approaching my 2026 quests differently. With less pressure, more intention, calm. So I'll see you there.